May I have your attention, please? Worship will be starting in 1 minute. Please take this opportunity to prepare your hearts for worship and to be seated. And don't forget to put your cell phones on silent. Good evening.
Good evening.
Hey, y'all. Hey. So, y'all come on in, man. Invite your friends. It's our favorite time. It's time for Happily Ever After. Whoop, whoop, yay. Whoop, 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 whoop. With Pastor J and Pastor K. And Pastor K got on her sister girl earrings on tonight. Looking all Black history. Right on, sister. How you feeling on tonight? Good. So listen. We are excited as always. So grateful for all of you guys joining us on tonight. We want to give this a few more minutes to allow people to come on and connect. I think we got a great conversation in store for you tonight. We're going to talk about intimacy. So, and we were kind of supposed to talk about this all month long, but Pastor Karen fell down and broke her foot, poor baby, and she has had a rough time with it. So
I don't even want to talk about it. I just been on it since last night in my women's meeting, and they reminded me that it is going on 3 years that I've been in a boot. And
3 years?
This is going on 3 years. That's something.
3 years?
3 years.
Are you sure?
Yes. I even went back because I wanted to make sure, because she tried to say 4, and I was like, no, it's 3. It's hitting 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, has not been fun.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah. 3 years.
I did not think I knew that. Wow. So listen. Again, we're grateful for you guys connecting with us tonight.
I want them to see my shirt.
You might, or you can't stand up, can you? You say you might have to stand up.
Can y'all see my shirt? It's
You gotta rotate that way. There you go.
Pillow Talk.
Yeah.
Hey, you can order these.
Is that something? Is she plugging her? Stuff? So, hey, Sister Goldie, how you doing, Brother Jay? I'm still ain't messing with you too much. You know, I told Jay he on the ban list for 2 weeks because he was sunning in Hawaii while we was over here freezing.
I'm not hating because I know when you go back, you are taking us with you.
So, just grateful just to have the opportunity to come out and just talk tonight. So we're gonna give this a few more minutes. Hey, as you see scrolling down the bottom is an opportunity for you guys to connect with us for Happily Ever After. Now, if this is your first time hanging out with us, Happily Ever After is our relationship ministry, chat, forum, whatever you want to call it, at Community Christian Center, and it's where Pastor K and I get to share our hearts and our mind and our experiences over the past almost 30, what did you say it was, 36, 37 years?
We've been together 36, but we've been married. It's going on 32.
Yeah, so golly, that's a long time.
Yes.
I know you gotta watch that. Yes.
No, I love it. I love this dude. I love Papa. I love Pops. I love Pastor.
Yeah, so I get to be all those. Yeah, so
I love my big daddy.
So here's our disclosure on tonight, right? We are actually at the real White House, and our family is home. We've all been iced in together.
Yes.
And that includes my grandbabies, who...
You might.
If you have never met them, you may. They may have an on-screen appearance tonight, so they have no regard for Pastor J or Pastor K. They only know Papa and Grandma and what they want and when they want it. So that's our disclosure.
So they know we're in them. They said, you got to go to a meeting? They said, yes.
But that don't mean a lot if one of them start hitting it. So, man, yeah, that's where I was at. Okay, let's try to focus in here. Scrolling on the bottom of your pages, you'll see an opportunity how you can connect with us here at Happily Ever After, and it's real simple. You can simply text the word happy. Text the word happy to 804-925-1466. And when you do, you're going to get a Connect card. The Connect card is going to ask you for 3 pieces of simple information, but are relevant to us being able to connect. It's going to ask about your name, a cell phone number, and an email address. 3 real simple pieces of information that we're going to ask that you share. Now, here's our promise to you. We won't inundate you with unnecessaries. We won't send any spam or any of that kind of stuff to your text messaging or to your email address. But we will share the ministry of Happily Ever After and the other happenings at Community Christian Center with you. We also will be in prayer for you and your family. So let's get connected and live out our motto, doing life better together. So let's get connected. So that'll scroll at the bottom. Hopefully by now you've hung out with us before and you know exactly who we are, but for those of you, this may be your first time. First, we say welcome to you.
Welcome. Invite.
And secondly, we said that I am Julius White, more affectionately known as Pastor J.
And I'm Karen White, better known as Pastor K.
Yeah. And again, this is Happily Ever After. It's the relationship ministry of Community Christian Center. So let's get into this conversation. So here's this. Note what I said. I said, let's get into this conversation. So we don't want to have, now we're going to conversate, and this is going to be good. But we want you to participate. So feel free to share your chats. Feel free to chat. Feel free to share your thoughts, your comments. Raise your questions. You know, if you don't mind, if we see something that's really good, we may pop it up on the screen. And we may just go ahead and mention that, just to develop this conversation, because that's really what we want to have with you guys, as a conversation.
Yeah. So please, we welcome your feedback. Okay, we love it when you all give us feedback.
Okay, so what we're about to have this conversation on is pillow talk. And tonight's topic, normally we just have Happily Ever After, but tonight we're featuring pillow talk, and that's 2 good-looking people on that flyer right there. Don't they look good? So here's the thought for tonight: is we want to start talking about the art of being intimate. Yeah. It's a lost art in a lot of relationships, and we kind of want to get back to that and have some conversation on that tonight. Is the art of being intimate. So when you hear the word, and this is an open question, please share. When you hear the word intimate or intimacy, what immediately comes to your mind? And please share, because I want to see what men think when they hear the word and what women think when they hear the word. And, I'm anxious to see, the difference of thought regarding the same word, because I'm sure we don't see this the same way. So again, when you hear the word intimacy, what comes to your mind? And I'm going to acquiesce to my wife first, ladies first on this one, and I want to hear what comes to her mind when we say the word intimate or intimacy. So what comes up?
The first thing that comes up?
Yeah.
The first thing that comes up is sex. For me, that's the first thing. But with us, it's just fellowshipping together, coming together. I love laying on him. I'll cuddle.
No, you don't cuddle. You just go to sleep.
but look at this. I love laying on it. Okay, I love it. I can't help it. I love it. But when we're talking about, I love just cuddling together with him when we start talking about. It's not necessarily, yes, I love the sex, but it's not necessarily always about the sex when it comes.
So we got some answers coming in. I popped it up here. Joe says closeness. Fatima says connections. So us, at 3C, we believe in properly defining so we can properly assign. So
we just can't just say sex.
Oh man, that is funny. So where am I trying to get to here? Okay. Let's take that off. Okay, so look at this.
I'm glad that's him doing this and not me.
So intimate is defined as characterized as being here close, Pastor Joe, personal, close personal acquaintance, familiarity, relating to or indicative of one's deepest nature, is sensual, intimate, very personal, private, involved in a sexual relationship. So,
relations.
So watch. I like that. Closeness, familiarity. I like it said deep natured, essential, innermost, very personal. Then it talked about it being private, and then it brought up the fact that it could be a sexual relationship. So, and I brought that up because intimacy doesn't necessarily have to equate to sexual. Brothers, don't hate on me. Don't throw no rocks and no stones. But, a lot of time when you ask men about, hey, what does it mean if you're going to be intimate with your wife? The thought immediately comes up is that we're about to do something that's sexual in nature. And wow, that probably is the first thought or the most relevant thought that people think of is not necessarily the most important part of being intimate. Even the most necessary, and that's crazy because you can be intimate and never be sexual.
Right.
Yeah, so to try to leave it at just being sexual is probably a poor definition of.
And like someone on our YouTube
it's probably a poor way of defining being intimate. So tonight I hope that we're able to carry this conversation in a way that kind of expands on that definition and then gives us a pathway, a how-to of becoming intimate. Because here's the sad thing is that a lot of relationships have lost their intimacy.
Yeah, because it's strictly based on just having sex.
Right.
And sex is different than making love.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, okay. Now, that's a good conversation, but if we go there, we're going to get stuck there.
But someone on our YouTube channel says to know one in a spiritual way as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, I mean, that's deep. And it's amazing when we start talking about this and playing out. We're going to see a lot of the factors of what we said or what was defined. We're going to see them come up being keys to being intimate in your relationship. Mm-hmm. It's amazing how many people struggle to be intimate. Like, there are people that literally struggle to hold hands in public or to hold hands, period. Now, I don't even know if you knew this, but in the beginning of our relationship, even when we were dating and stuff, I struggled to hold hands.
Oh, most definitely. I knew that.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't I?
But do you know why?
No.
So watch this.
I don't.
The reason why I struggled to hold hands is because when I was little and we went out, my mom and my grandmother used to hold our hands. But they held our hands and it was very controlling. So it didn't feel intimate. It didn't even feel nice. It didn't even feel loving. It felt very controlling. Mm-hmm. What I failed to realize is that they were literally protecting us by keeping us close, by holding you tight, by controlling where you were able to go,
how far you could get away
from them. It was not because they didn't love us. It was a way of expressing love, but it never felt like that. It only felt restrictive and controlling. There was a lack of intimacy in it, and it's old school, so parents didn't explain their behavior,
and so that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight as well. But if they would have explained it now you understand that mama is not trying to hurt you. Yes, yeah.
Mama is trying to make sure no one else hurts you.
Right.
So it was it was totally different. And sometimes you have to consider the plight or the culture that the person that you're trying to become intimate with to understand the lack thereof. You know what I'm saying? So if I understand what you've experienced, I might better understand your struggle to be intimate. We are so quick to get offended because we feel that the lack of intimacy or the lack of how we want to share,
sharing the why is important.
The lack of sharing is personal. So we immediately take it personal and become offensive or offended, I should say. And then that makes us defensive because now I got to protect myself because I feel that you are in some way, shape, or form are attacking me because you're not intimate towards me in the way that I desire you to be. Never stopping to ask, like somebody, I think it was you said, Pastor Joe, never stopping to find out the why of what my struggle is to hold hands, So you immediately just say, oh, you don't want to hold my hand.
Yeah. But even with you bringing up the fact of early on in our relationship when you didn't want to hold hands, that just brings up like some other things when it comes to being intimate, like touch or why people don't want to be touched in a certain place or like that. And do you remember early on in our relationship when it came to me, like there was like certain areas like I didn't. Like I tensed up, when he touched me. But I don't think it took long for me to explain to him why, because, and like I said, we're very transparent. When I was younger, I had a family member that violated me when it came to touching. And whenever that came and that touch, it immediately took me back to that place that I tried to bury. But I would jerk away, and then but I'm glad that he was patient enough, like wow, like, is there something wrong? Am I hurting you? What is it? And that brought up, like I said, what we're going to talk about when it comes to communicating, and talking about it.
So tonight I want to share with you guys, and this is crazy, and the Lord just gave me this. I promise you, it was just given, and I just want to share it with you guys on tonight. 3 C's of intimacy. So let's look at that. Here we go. So your 3 C's of intimacy. Your 3 C's of intimacy are connection, communication, and compassion. And I spelled compassion the way I did because I wanted us to note the passion part of compassion. Mm-hmm. So, because I think, to me, passion is very important part of intimacy, especially in a marriage. And do you need something to prop it up on, baby? And that's kind of, what we're focusing on, is having this conversation, not strictly to those that are married, but kind of from the basis of marriage. Mm-hmm. So, did y'all get those? One more time. We're talking about the 3 C's of intimacy. So we're talking about tonight, we're going to focus on connection, communication, and compassion. So, all right, here we go. Let's talk about the first C. So the first C is connection. And connection is based in your spiritual and mental intimacy. Consider your connection as the meeting of hearts and minds, the place of agreement where two, and that should be 2 I'm sorry about that, 2 hearts become one. So let's talk about that. So the first thing, often this is probably what we don't stop to think about in relationships. And when we start seeing relationships fail or change, is the fact that we lose a sense of connection. Mm-hmm. So connection is this place. In the book of Genesis, it talks about God telling Adam, henceforth a man shall leave his mother and father, cleave to his wife, and the 2 shall become one. Mm-hmm. So when you start talking about connection, it's not the fact that I lose the sense of who I am. It's the place where we come into agreement. It's the place where, when you meet that person and you say stuff like, man, we just connect. Mm-hmm. And it's mental. It's like this, we think on the same wavelength, we're after the same things, we both see success in the same way. Mm-hmm. And there's a spiritual element to it too, is that our passions or our love for God could be the same. Mm-hmm. Or mm-hmm. Our love for family,
mm-hmm. Our hobbies, our interests, and
so there's this, it's a mindset or connecting in likeness of thoughts and desires and directions. Mm-hmm. That is good right there. Pastor Antonio says it's chemistry. That's a great word for it right there. When you start talking about connections, mm-hmm. you're talking about chemistry. It's just that thing that happens and it's the right person. And here's the thing, for us, it happened on fronts, but it wasn't everywhere. But the more time we spent, the more we begin to find out, how much alike we were, how much desirous of the same things.
But that came with us understanding what marriage was and what relationship was, and once we start, like you said, getting into the word and how we supposed to treat one another. So it came with that. That's why, a lot of times I tell anybody, I can't change you at all. I can't make you do anything. But I believe that if you stay in the word long enough, the word will help you change.
Yeah.
It will help you change.
Yeah. And again, just that chemistry that we click, you get to the point like our kids. Like I knew, we were connected, and it really started to show when our kids, one of us would be downstairs, one of us would be upstairs, and our kids were manipulators. I love them to like them little manipulative.
Especially that oldest child.
And they thought the setup was, let's get Aisha. So Nene and Josh thing was, let's get Aisha to ask Daddy, because Daddy loves Aisha. He'll do whatever Aisha want him to do. And it was partly true, but not to the point of getting me jacked up with their mama. So they would ask her first, not get the answer that they wanted. Send Aisha downstairs or upstairs, wherever I was, to ask the same question, just knowing that Daddy was just going to give them an out-and-out flat yes. And immediately my response would be, what did your mama say? Or my answer would be exactly what their mama said. Or the next thing was, go ask your mama. And it would be the same thing from her to them. And I was like, man, this is so funny because, we're seeing this thing out of the same lens towards our children and just in areas of our marriage. And the longer we stayed married, the more work we put in, the greater the connection became in different areas. You got to get what we're saying, that this wasn't, an immediate thing that happened in every area of our marriage. We worked at it. It's amazing to me that people won't give up on each other on their first sexual encounter, whether it's good or bad. If they're attracted to one another, if they like each other, they'll continue to work to find that connection in that area, but won't do the same thing in their communications or, in other areas of their marriage to stay connected. Go ahead, baby.
Yeah, but even with that, because we're talking about marriage, and that is very important, but I ain't saying going out to your favorite restaurant or whatever is not important, but we will continue to go to that fast food restaurant, even as slow as they are. Even they mess up your food. You get out the drive-through line, you've been in there an hour, you come back, your fries ain't in there. You got to go back, but you still going to go back. But we won't do that when it comes to trying to fix relationship. We won't, when it comes to that. So, yeah.
And so, that's great. Antonio, process. Chemistry, processing is all the makeup. It's just great when you start teaching and other teachers just jump in and you just start to flow in this thing. But it's all a part of developing and maintaining a sound connection. And I promise you this, before you go and divorce or end your marriage or end the relationship that you're in, that's good for you, that's been good to you, go back, stop, go through a process and find the disconnection, because somewhere there's a disconnect. The same way you found it and said we're connected, somewhere in there is a disconnection. And here's the thing, if we found how to connect once, if we are really, dedicated to this, we can find out how to repair, possibly how to repair and how to reconnect. So I think, I used to think that the foundation of the success of every relationship was proper communication. But now I understand what supersedes communication is connection. Because connection will, make me keep working
and make me communicate
until
with
we
you.
figure out how to communicate. How to effectively communicate. When we're connected, I won't give up because I'll see the benefit of being in this connected relationship. And we're not, get this, let me stop. We're not talking about abusive relationships or unhealthy relationships or relationships that are just no good and you need to get yourself out of that. You will never hear this pastor tell you that the Lord wants you to stay somewhere where a man is mistreating you or a woman is mistreating you, they're beating you or taking advantage of you. No, we're not talking about that. We're talking about because there's an interruption or a disruption or the enemy is trying to kill, steal, or destroy your relationship. We're telling you to put the work in to reconnect or, to revitalize before you think I just got to give up and walk away. There was something in the beginning, chemistry, processing, whatever, that allowed us to find a place of connection. Is it still there?
Right.
And I think you just got to be willing to walk backwards to find out where the break is in our ability to connect.
And it's got to be more, and this might be a little off, but when that connection, it's got to be more seriously than the intimacy part when it comes to the sex part. It's got to be more than that. Because what if something happens and things ain't going like it used to in that area? Are you still connected?
Right.
Somewhere where you could still keep this relationship together.
Which is why you can't say or define intimacy solely as sexual interactions because sex may not last forever, but your intimacy of a relationship can. Even with all our chemical additives that are available to us today, there may come a point in time where you physically cannot do that, and it's not even to the forefront of your mind. And you see these couples that are married 50, 60, 70 years, and they're still very intimate towards one another, even if they're not very sexually, active
with each other.
But you still see the holding hands, the kissing, the patting, the rubbing.
You see that you go in their room, they got 2 twin beds in there. We don't get to that point, with the 2 twin beds. I ain't fitting twin beds, okay? Because I move around too much. I'll be on the floor.
Yeah, cool. So the heart wants, okay.
And then how do you keep?
Oh, we got a question?
How do you keep the chemistry fire
going that long?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, that's a great question. So here it is. We said this was a conversation. So this is what popped up. And everybody can chime in. So how do you keep the chemistry fire that long? So 32 years. How do you keep the chemistry fire going that long? What's your key? If you had to share one thought, what would be your key?
Oh no. Oh man. I don't know. You go.
Okay, so I think one of the keys.
We gotta keep some energy. We gotta keep some excitement.
So,
you can't. You gotta always find new things to.
She said, "You go." Then she stopped.
Because I had to think, okay, what? Because I could think some things that we're doing now. So it's just like finding new ways to make each other smile and try new things. To
me, one of the keys in that is learning to have effective communication. Learning to listen, because your mate will kind of tell you when, they need a boost, they need a change, they need a whatever.
What's mine?
And
when do you know I need one?
Because Kiki. So Kiki is my wife alter ego. So,
Okay.
but, I think it is. I think we find a lot of how to keep it going in the second C. So the second C, remember, was, oh, no, I'm sorry. The second C was communication. And communication is based on the ability to properly share your feelings. So get that first part. Communication is based on the ability to properly share your feelings. We're talking about maintaining.
Take our time on that
one. we're talking about sharing or maintaining intimacy. So communication is based on the ability to properly share your feelings. Helpful hint. Thoughtfully process your feelings before you speak. Don't let your emotions get the best of you when you're communicating. And
I love that part because I can truly remember when that wasn't an area where we had, I ain't gonna say it's still perfected, but it's a lot better. I remember when that, boy, whatever come to mind, you say it, and it caused a lot of rift in the relationship. Yeah. And I thank God. I thank God that now that I know I do, and I can't even remember. And I'm telling y'all this, the God's honest truth. I cannot tell you the last time that Julius and I have been in an argument. I'm not going to tell you we might probably haven't maybe made each other a little upset, but I'm talking about an argument. I'm talking about we used to argue so much, but I think I can't tell you the last time we argued. Yeah. But I do. I think now before anything.
And the Bible tells us to be slow to speak.
Because it just doesn't. Right now, for me, when I doing it, it's not just affecting us, even though it might have been about us, but it's not just affecting us. One, if we got other people in the house, so I worry about that. I worry about how I'm going to affect them as well. So.
Okay. What it says, thoughtful, process your feelings before you speak. When you do speak, contextualize your emotions so you can communicate them as direct and potent statements. And above all, allow yourself to be vulnerable. That's probably, that's probably pretty hard right there.
Especially for a man.
For a lot of men, is appearing to be vulnerable. So, process your feelings. This is good. I'm going to take somebody's advice that said, take your time right here. Okay. So watch this. The first thing it says is that communication is the ability to properly share your feelings. Somebody says, how do you keep the fire going, or how do you sustain over long periods of time? And I think that's why I said I thought that communications was such a key to your longevity, is that you can properly share your feelings. Because I think that's a key point to an intimate relationship, is that I am so comfortable. I am in such a trusting place. I am in such a secure place that I don't have to worry about my vulnerabilities being used against me, that it allows me to become vulnerable. And I can share my deepest desire or my deepest thoughts or my deepest concerns with the person that I am the most intimate with. For me, that was a very, very hard thing to develop and to do, because I just didn't have that trust factor that you need in relationships to expose your deepest thing, because it's always the thought that somebody's going to use this against me.
Right.
That somebody's going to turn around when I say this and hurt me, or that now I'm going to be looked at as less of a man because either I'm crying or I'm exposing a weak place. And society has told men that you got to be strong, you can't cry, you can't be vulnerable or this. So you carry all of those things as a part of your male makeup and as a part of what you think rightly defines your manhood. And because of that, now you're in a relationship, and you have this person that you want to share your innermost, your deep feelings, those deep concerns, the things that you probably haven't shared with many others, and you don't know how to articulate it because you've had to hide it or suppress it for so long. And I think even when there are things happening in your relationship that you are dissatisfied with, you don't know how to express those things because you've had to hide those things. So now your mate is constantly asking you what's wrong. And you don't know how to tell them, or what do you want from me?
Right.
And you don't know. For the longest time, I could not answer that question because my life wasn't about me. My life had been built around serving others.
Yeah.
So I didn't even know how to satisfy me.
Right.
So when you don't know, what the thing that satisfies and edifies you, and when you are content, you're like a beast. Really, you will constantly eat because it's there to be eaten. You have no restraint.
You settle.
Yeah. So,
but I remember when we started. Like, a lot of people didn't understand when, we had a moment in our relationship when you had came home and said, "Look, I was tempted." I was tempted by this woman, and I need to be able to share this with you.
Right. Right.
And for a minute I'm like, wait a minute, what you mean? You was tempted? I mean, tempted me? Did you fall into it? I mean, what? But I remember him coming to say, "Hey, I was tempted by what I saw. She was saying the right things to me. She smelled good. She, her well, she looked like was what I wanted her to look like." And did it bother me? Yes, it did. It did. But I would tell you that I ain't gonna say it saved our relationship, but it made it to the point where kind of what he was just talking about, where he could let down his guard to be able to trust me, that I wouldn't say if something happened. Well, you said you saw something out there to tempt you. Go on back out there and let it tempt you. He trusted me enough to be able to tell me that, and then that thing opened up some more stuff when it came to which those that are new, those that think they know our story, but we love telling our own story. So when he stepped outside of our marriage, when we were able to talk about that thing, that it helped. Like he said, he could tell his side of it, but I can tell mine. That he said that he had to sit through some things with me, but as the woman in it, and it happened, I had to sit and take some things too to just start looking at me, but I didn't want to say, well, Dad, when you went out there and you slept with somebody else and kept throwing it up in his face every time something would happen in our relationship, I could go back and throw that in his face. But he can tell you today, that is one thing I never did. No. I never did, and I've never done to this day.
No, I mean, you covered me so well that's why I said you are the epitome of an example of a wife, and a loving wife. But that moment of transparency, to be able to come home and say that was my vulnerability, but it also was a trust. And then to every wife that just heard that, and your thought was, if my husband come home and say something to me like that, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, or tell him X, Y, Z. Let me help you, my sister. Let me help you right here. Who else does he have to come home or to come and share that with? Now remember, you are his rib. You were taken from the strongest bone, one of the stronger bones in his body that protects all his vital organs. So to you, he should be able to trust. Even that vulnerability, watch this, that may not be the most flattering for you to hear, but is definitely a statement of confidence and trust in you. If your husband can come and know that my wife is not going to accuse me or make accusations against me, but she's going to do what she should do, and that's pray for me. It is not a place to become, accusatory, but it's a place where I can now understand where the enemy, see, this is too deep for some of y'all. Where the enemy is coming against my marriage, and I can pray for my husband. I can cover my husband, that this enemy does not fail. Because here's what I understand. The enemy that's coming against him is not just coming against him. It's coming against us to kill, steal, and destroy. So, if think about, just exhale before you blow up, because he comes home and tells you something of that nature. I'm fortunate. Now, here's the flip side. When she came home and said something similar, I had to respond in the same manner.
You didn't.
And I shook my head and like, hold on. But then you understand that the same tempter that comes against me is the same tempter that comes against her. Yeah, I'm a good looking fella. I believe that, but I ain't the only good looking fella that God made. And all the good little fellas said amen. So we're talking about communication being really a key to maintaining your intimacy. It's being able to share the things. Here's another funny thing. People are married for years and still can't tell their partner what makes them feel good sexually. For years, that I want to be touched here or handled here, or I enjoy this, but I really don't like that. And we'll either suffer in silence and desiring it,
but that's what will make you step outside your marriage, when and it's crazy that you'll step outside and be able to talk to him or her that you can't talk to the one that you're married to and tell them
the exact same thing.
So you'll take a part of them over here and you'll get that from them and get this from your wife, versus you can have all of it right here, your husband and your wife, if you would just communicate.
And that's just the key, that most failures in your marriage, or breaks in your marriage, or indiscretions in your marriage, start in intimacy, not just with sex. They start with conversation.
Yes.
They start with intimate conversations. She compliments, he compliments, he notices, she notices. The very thing that we're forgetting to do in our marriages, that you start to take each other for granted. You've been around each other 5, 10, 15 years. Yes, she still look good, and you thought I told her, man, you smell good, you look nice, is that a new shirt, you did something different, you thought to notice and to say something. But so much of it now is taken for granted.
Yeah.
She know.
Yeah.
She know I love her.
Yeah, it's like now he'll be like, wait a minute, like, hey, you ain't kissed me in 2 days, or you ain't kissed me in a couple of days. Like, I said, wait a minute, I didn't. So yeah, we do.
Here, I like that. As Sharonda says, also paying attention to the unspoken words of one another to keep that communication and that attentiveness. Yes, the unspoken words. Your body language is a form of communication. You should take notice. Just like, hey, you ain't kissed me in 2 days. What is wrong with you?
Yes, he loves kissing. He loves kissing.
I got kissable lips.
He does. They soft.
No, I ain't sharing this one. So, But I mean, that's a great point. Is that you should notice when your partner's body language change. You should notice that your partner has withdrawn to their side of the bed for the past few days, and they normally sleep all over you. Like this one. She didn't want, look, y'all, she didn't want a king size bed because it was too far. She had to travel to find out where I was on my side of the bed. So she made us get another queen size. We bought a brand new bed. I'm like, baby, it's only a few $100s more. Let's get a king size. Nope.
When we go on vacation
that's
and
too
stuff,
big.
we can have that.
That's
I don't
too
want that
big.
in my house. Come on, ladies.
This
Give me
is
some
crazy,
thumbs up.
y'all.
Help me out. Help me out. Ladies, help me out.
I'm like,
you feel me?
I'm like,
might be some men out there. Come
let's
on.
get this
be
big
vulnerable
bed
tonight, men. Be vulnerable tonight
Look,
and say you like that.
I'm trying to get this big bed, bro. This chick, like, nope, that's too big, too far to travel. I'm like, too far to travel? Like, where are we going? Like, that's too many rows for her to get over to my side to put her cold feet all over me. But all right. So here's this. I told y'all we love what we do, man. So
who is that putting their hand over? Is this Sharonda?
I don't know. That might be Sharonda. This is not my fault. This is Sharonda's fault.
This your daddy, Sharonda.
Look,
that's your daddy.
I love y'all so much. So here we go. So let's look back. We said one of the first three C to maintaining your intimacy. Number one was you had to focus on your connection, and Pastor Antonio gave us a great key word. There's chemistry. That's the meeting of the minds. That's that place where everything clicks. And when that's interrupted, it should be a key to, hey, we need to, we need to powwow and find out what's going on with the connection. Because the connection flows right into our communication. When you're connected, it makes communicating easy. You think about, when you first met him or her, and you just thought they was the perfect person, your soul tie, you stay on the phone all night long.
Okay, don't go there. Don't go there, okay? Okay, tell it. Cause
I ain't gonna tell it.
Tell it.
No, I'm keep moving.
Tell it.
No, I'm keeping moving, baby. Come on here.
Okay, our phone bill was $400.
That's when you had long distance.
Yeah, it wasn't free.
Look, we dating ourselves. So here we go. So, and the second we said was your communication. That was being able to properly express your feelings and to share your feelings. And, to take your time, think it through, and then be able to properly share that with your mate. And then Sharonda gave us a great point of those nonverbal communications, being attentive to those. And to those, and knowing that when things have changed between you and your partner. So that's great. So we're 2 C's down, and the third C is compassion. Now, when we start talking about compassion, it's literally love in action. So here's where I start to think about physical intimacy. And here's the truth. Physical intimacy for some may not be the most important C at all. Nonetheless, it is important. Physical touch might well be the love language you both speak well. So your physical relationship might be the place that you both express your love for one another, the loudest, and when I say the loudest, I don't mean in sounds. I mean it's your love in action. It's that touch that resounds the loudest with each of you. Now, we have had moments of that physical part of our relationship, being in different places, but I think we both, it has been, maintained an importance to both of us pretty much all the time. I can't think of a time where our physical interaction wasn't honorable or valuable to either of us. Even in our struggles, our physical relating was still very, honorable to us both. So yeah, don't go telling your stories. The children are on the TV. Don't go telling your stories, woman. This is not camp where you get to tell all your stories. We trying to help people and share. No, that would not. And I already know what you're thinking about, and you ain't said a word. We're talking about, but intimacy and playing out in your physical, in a physical manifestation, is very important. In Hebrews, I believe it's the 13th chapter, the 4th verse, the Bible says that marriage is honorable and the marriage bed undefiled. Your sexual, your physical interactions are ordained by God. This is one way that God, our sexual interactions in marriage is a gift from God. It is an opportunity for us to share, the greatest gift that we have, and that's us with our mate. And it's also that physical time where the two become one. So, it's really, really an important C. Now, again, it's not the C for some that speaks louder than communication and connection, but compassion, that your love in action, the physicality of it, is an important form of intimacy. And then here's this knowing your partner's love language. For me, my wife being physical to me is really important, and we don't have to be crazy or nothing and go. But I like when my wife touches me. I like when my wife is is physical, when she touches, when she kisses, when she hugs. I like when we're intimate, when we make love. Because to me, it's an expression of our love, or it's an expression of your love for me. So for me, that C is like a capital C. And I'm not saying that's for everybody. I'm saying for me, that's a capital C, because it's how I receive my affirmations. It's what solidifies I love you. You
do your thing in that area.
And y'all be thinking it's me. I'm up here with my serious face on, giving my Dr. J soliloquy, and here she comes.
I was trying to think of something else. I couldn't think of nothing else, but that. You do.
She just messed up the whole TV.
We ain't messing up. I'm just telling y'all the truth. That's why he fixed that word like that.
And Tima saying, behave. It ain't me.
Oh my God. Why is our kids saying, why they shaking my head? Like, come on, y'all. Y'all already knew when we said that we was talking intimacy, that what was going to happen.
But for real, I think you create some questioning, especially if physical relating was a healthy part of our relationship, and all of a sudden, without communication, you break this physical connection. You leave me to begin to wonder what's changed, or what have I done, or watch this, what are you doing?
Right.
Because and then you hear that, well, you're not
with me,
being physical with me, so
you must be,
because I know you're not going this long or whatever. So I think you really have to be open and aware that if it's something going on, it could be something physical, it could be something mental, but whatever is going on, here you go back to that second C of communication, because again, it maintains connection so that we can be compassionate. Compassionate, but watch this, fellas. You can't expect The third C, compassion without connection and communication. That feels like a violation to a woman. Like, you just, like, you missed her. You just want to get up here and do your business. No, you understand that there is an art to intimacy. And the art flows from connection to communication to compassion, not the other way around. Not starting at compassion and maybe I'll communicate and maybe we'll stay connected. No, it starts with us being connected. It flows through our communication. Because here's what I know. If I want to be compassionate in the evening, then I better start with connection and communication during the day. Yeah, so I got to build, what I'm saying? I build this bridge to get where it is that, that I'm desiring to get to. And I understand that if I try to do it my way, I'm probably going to fail. But if I do it in the way and the manner that works for our relationship and I follow that pattern, then I'm probably going to end up in the promised land.
Right, because we always say when we do this is that when we have to remember why, when you say build the bridge to get up to it, is because we as women like what we hear. So, if you keep saying that all day and you sending me something, I'm at work and you texting me or you calling me or you sending me pictures and I'm like, oh, I gotta hurry up and get up out of here. Let me type this up. Let me get up out of here. So we have to remember those things, and it's also what he said when he said the compassion part. He likes to touch, and and men like what they see,
right,
and we like what we hear. So we have to remember those things, and remember those things on purpose.
Say that again.
Remember them on purpose.
Yeah. Jay
so.
says you got to warm up through what? Warm up the night through connections and communications. That's right. Yeah. And I love that. Remember those things on purpose. Most men are motivated by what they see. Most women move motivated by what they hear.
Yeah. So he don't like for us to tell our stories, but listen. I loved my grandmother, and so we all kind of took some things that my grandmother had when she passed away, and so I love this robe that my grandmother had that, I always, I get out the shower, whatever, I'm putting it on, even though I knew when I got out the shower, it was going to be our intimate time. But I would put this robe on because I was comfortable in it, because I loved it. And then he was like, hey, you got that moo-moo on? Like, you got your grandma's robe on. That's just messing me up. I can't do that. But so when I say we have to do these things on purpose, remember, when you come out the shower, what's getting ready to happen. If it's just you and you coming, hey, come out in the things that he like, not things that makes you comfortable.
And like her grandma was like my grandma. That's like, oh man, that is Mama O's robe. Jay, take you straight to life. Don't nobody want no Jello after seeing what I done seen. You didn't put on Mama O's moo-moo.
Yes.
But it is. When you get to compassion, when you get to that C, and you're focusing on that C, then you build the environment and the atmosphere around that C.
Yes.
Go ahead. I love my wife. So Valentine's we did something different.
Yeah,
she created this atmosphere that was very intimate. We painted and whatnot, but she had balloons everywhere and sparkling. we don't drink, but she had what was it, baby? Sparkling apple juice and crackers and cheese and fruits and on the TV. She had a fireplace going on the TV. So it was cool, man. And it was the thought that went behind creating an intimate atmosphere that wasn't sexual. It was just intimate. There was a connection, there was communication, and then there was painting, and we had a really great time. So whatever C you find yourself in, build the atmosphere and build the environment around that C. When you're connecting, whatever it is that you're connecting, the thoughts, if this is a family meeting, if this is a business meeting, build that atmosphere so you can connect there and you can take advantage of that moment of being there. If it's just communications, if it's just about whatever it's about, the future or whatever, build that atmosphere. Put it in a context that supports that. But also, if it's your physical romantic time, ladies, gentlemen, build that atmosphere so you can connect there. Go. It don't cost that much to get some fruit, some chocolate, or whatever it is. It doesn't cost that much to get the reusable rose petals if that's where you are. It doesn't cost that much. A couple of weeks ago, we wanted some alone time. Didn't want it. The virus is out. We really didn't feel that comfortable about going anywhere. And our grandson and one of our daughters still live at home. They left. So we literally in the house built this romantic weekend, man. And it was great. We ate, we laughed, we talked, we cast vision, we watched movies. Yeah. We had our romantic, very, very romantic, intimate time.
He did that. Y'all see that? He said very, very.
But we created the atmosphere. Yeah. It didn't cost us a lot of money. It just cost us an investment of time. If you really want to recapture the intimacy in your marriage, you have to be willing to invest the time to make it happen. Yeah. So you got to spend time connecting. You got to spend time conversating or communicating, and you got to spend time being compassionate one towards another. It shakes me to the core when I started talking to our married couples from 3C, and they started talking about we're not sexually active anymore. We've been married 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. We're not having sex. And I'm thinking to myself, what the world is wrong? And there is literally something wrong. There are now disconnects. There is a lack of communication, effective communication. Therefore, there is no celebration. There is nothing happening, in the bedroom. And that's not, and that's why you start to hear people talking about how much they dread being married, because they're not doing it right. It has lost the intimacy. I love being married. I love it. I
echo that.
What scares me is the thought of not being married to her. That's what's more, and I know our time up and we get ready to get out of here. Russell Wilson had this comment, and people like dogged him out on Facebook because he was talking about his love for his wife and how he was afraid to lose his marriage or his wife. And people thought that he was being a weak man. And I'm like, on the contrary, for a man to be in a place, first, a man of that type of wealth and that stature, to be that secure in himself and his marriage, to be that vulnerable about his marriage and how his feelings towards his wife, one, shows you how strong he is. But then I just took a moment to reflect on myself, and I promise I'm done after this. And this is what I understood. I understand that in June of 2021, we will celebrate 32 years of marriage. I got married when I was 25 years old, 24, 25 years old. I was not prepared for what I was given. I was not equipped. I didn't have a mentality. I didn't have a skill set to be successful at being a husband nor a father. And I became both literally within a year's time of one another. Now, I'm not equipped to do either. And I find myself doing both. And I was get how old I was, 25. So I'm so immature. The truth was, I didn't even know what I wanted to do with my life. And now here I am, responsible for another life and taking on, this role, this prominent role to play in another person's life. And because of that immaturity, no role model, the lack of skill sets, I failed. I floundered. I struggled. I am blessed to have had a wife who had the ability to see that there was a man inside that just needed time. And God graced her and favored her with grace, mercy, loving kindness, and the ability to see through some very, very rough years. And I think about that now from a perspective of getting ready to turn 58 in May versus being the kid that was 25. And when I think about it from the man's perspective of 58, my reflections and my statements are similar to Russell Wilson's. And it's because I've grown and I'm matured. I now value what God has given me. Most of us struggle so much in marriage because we lack honor for our marriage. We respect our mates, but we lack honor for our marriage. The word honor in the Bible means to make weighty, to make valuable, to treasure. Once you honor something or you have something that's weighty, something that's valuable, and you really honor it, you treat it differently, you guard it, you protect it, and you understand the value of it. So therefore, when you look at it, you assess it and you see the value, the worth of it to you, you speak like Russell Wilson and says, my greatest fear is losing this. It's losing it. One of my greatest fears is my marriage. I don't want to see anything happen that would threaten the success and the continuance of my marriage. It's because I've learned to honor it and to make it weighty in my life. So listen, guys.
Give me a kiss.
Listen, man. I thank you guys for hanging out with us. I don't know. This is probably where I have to get better prepared. The scripts the stuff I'm supposed to say at the end, that Pastor Joe gonna be like, you ain't say this, and you. Let me just put this up here again. Where is it at, baby?
Which part?
That right there. So it's scrolling on the bottom of the screen again. If you want to connect with us, if you've enjoyed Happy Ever After, I'll tell you, it's better in person. I love when we do it as a small group, and we have couples in our church, outside of our church, that come in and we just share. We have game nights. I love the fact that we had the game night and we had men against the women and we won. And it was great. We don't hate, baby. We have the Happily Ever After presents the Night of Romance, which is a great night, man, of fun and fellowship. So
get to dance.
Yeah, great music, great food, great entertainment, and we're a lot of people have asked us about it, and we're doing everything we can to make that happen this summer. So stay tuned. But yeah, if you're not connected with us and you would like to get connected, if you want to know more about Happily Ever After, if you want to know more about Community Christian Center, listen, right here to get connected with Happily Ever After, simply text the word happy to 804-925-1466. And again, please complete the Connect card. 3 pieces of information, but they are so relevant to us being able to connect. Your name, a cell phone number, and an email address. And again, we make our promise not to inundate you with unnecessaries, but we are going to share our ministry with you. And if you're interested in knowing more about Community Christian Center, then to the same phone number, text the word welcome. Text the word welcome to the same phone number. Again, that number is 804-925-1466. Complete the Connect card. It's going to ask you for the same 3 pieces of information. Your name, your cell phone number, and your email address. And you'll get connected and you'll start getting updates concerning our ministry. So we would love to have the opportunity to do life together with you, to do life together with you and your families. So let's get connected. Let's do this thing better together. Hey, before we get ready to get out of here, are there any questions, any statements, any concerns? All right, man. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with us.
Thank you. Thank
you for hanging out with us on YouTube. Thank you for hanging out with us here on Facebook. Hey, the weather is supposed to clear up and be good. So Sunday morning, the doors open at 10:15. Service kicks off at 10:30. We're socially distancing. We're still wearing masks. We're checking your temperature at the door. We got limited seating. But if you want to be in the house and you get there in time enough to get a seat, come on in, man. We're going to have an awesome time. I'm excited because we get to get back in our building and we get to, hear unity and share word and just have a little fellowship. So come on out, join us. If not, if you're not ready to do that yet, you can catch us still on Facebook and YouTube. For fellowship. So we'll be there. Listen, enjoy your Saturday. Stay safe, stay smart. Vaccinated or not, please continue to wear your mask. Please continue to properly social distance. This too shall pass, and we're going to make it through. Thank you, Pastor Joe. Just a sidebar, if you do want to come through, and you can go out to our website at www.your3c.com and plan your visit. It's right there on the main page. Actually, it's on every page. It'll give you the opportunity to plan your visit, and you could get preferred seating for you and your family by simply going out and planning your visit. Hey, we love you guys with the love of the Lord.
Love you.
Have an awesome weekend. Again, thank you for hanging out with us so much. Next month, March the, I think it's 18th, we'll be right back here for Happily Ever After with another, hot topic. So bring your friends, start watch parties, and let's make this great. Again, love you guys with the love of the Lord. Have an awesome night. Peace.